Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Drawing Down the Stars. I'm Snappy, and thank you for joining me for our live tarot reading today, September 9th, 2024. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day, and thank you all for joining me. So let's start out by giving a shout out to everyone here in the chat. Good to see you, Gandhi. Much love to you. Good to see you in the Coast Mask. Corey, good to see you. Taz, much love. Much love, D-Love. Christy, great to see you. Leslie Cellini, good to see you. All the love in the world, Mother Rhea. Good to see you, Little Bird. Foundations, much love, Foundations. Good to see you, Stoic Dissension. Good to see you, Holleraint. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you all for joining me. It's a good turnout, first thing. I love to see it. I love to see it. So let's start off by talking a bit about our astrology today. In today's astrology, we're moving out of that transformative intensity of Scorpio, and we're moving into the adventurous, playful energy of Sagittarius. So those of you with strong Sagittarius energy are really going to feel it. It's that pull to adventure, to movement and motion, to engagement, to fun and frivolity. Sagittarius is the hunter, the one who pursues their passions and their desires, the one who engages with the world in that motion and in that transit. Powerful energy. And combined with that Virgo, now is the time when you can really move. You can really engage and perfect yourself in this way of setting your sights on something and going for it, taking those leaps into joyous engagement. Where Scorpio was that transformative energy, now you can act upon that transformation. Now you can engage with the world and really experience life. You can move and do and pursue in that fluidity of motion. Beautiful energy. And combined together, you will hit your mark, right? Because Sagittarius will take the shot and Virgo will ensure the bullseye, you know? It's a beautiful moment. So think on this and be in touch, right? And when I was meditating on today's energy, I was thinking also about today's a very special day, you know? It's the festival in the ancient Greek times to Artemis Argotera. And that was the reason why I had done the Artemis episode yesterday, partially, was because of this connection here, you know? And Artemis Argotera, that is Artemis of the wilderness, of the wilds. And the name of the festival was called the Charisteria. And this was happening at Athens. And it was to celebrate sort of a Thanksgiving. And it was about her protecting you from that wilderness and from the wilds of battle, that combination, right? Protecting us from the vile, scary things that lie deep in our imagination and in the wilderness, and that reality of the battlefield, you know? So hail that virgin archer, as Gandhi said. Well put, Gandhi. Argotera, right? She of the wilderness, who stands alone, bright and undefiled, empowered by her own strength, who stands above everyone else, you know? Who represents that powerful energy of the deep, of the depths, of that soul. And this is so important too with the energy that I was reflecting on today, because when I was meditating this morning, I drew the priestess. And I found this so important and powerful because I really connect the priestess energy to Artemis and also to the moon. And the other day I had drawn the moon. So to have these two in succession was just a really beautiful thing. The moon and the priestess, right? So I felt it was this idea on one hand, we needed to face the unconscious and gaze into ourselves, right? To really go to those depths and to really reflect upon this energy and embrace this energy. You know, you have to face the panic, right? You have to face that huntress in all of her terrible mean, right? You have to be like those little girls and become the bears who can ward her off. you know? And it's interesting. It's really interesting to think on this. And the priestess, right? The priestess is the one who gives voice to that unconscious, who can listen to the depths of her body, who can go to the deep of that universal voice, who's connected to that flow, who can see the weave and weaves with it, right? Whose plans unfold over eternity through that disciplined action, that profound disciplined action. And I was thinking about this idea of the weave and of the thread, and it was funny. This morning I drew the priestess, I'm thinking about the weave and the thread, and I get distracted by my phone. And I go to my phone and it's YouTube Shorts. And it just so happens it's a guy who's talking about that the single greatest invention in humankind is not the wheel. It's not what you think, but it is the thread which binds, the thread which was made through that incredible menial women's work, the thread which Artemis refuses to weave. Part of her thing, right? The priestess weaves in her name. Artemis herself doesn't weave, right? She's above that. She engages in the hunt, right? It's different. It's interesting. But that weave traditionally is that women's work, that monotonous work, that disciplined work. But it is that thread, that glue that binds everything. And when you really think about it, the rope, the threads, they bind us all. They allow for invention. They allow for nets. They allow us to make weapons. They allowed for so much to create the bow and draw the string, you know? And it's interesting, really interesting to think on. And the energy of today is just this energy of going to that unconscious, you know, going to the self and being open to what is there, not trying to color it, facing the terrifying nature of the self and of reality and seeing it without input, you know, and then after that, giving voice to it, materializing it, understanding it, utilizing that power as a strength, right? There's potential there for so much beauty. Just because it is scary, it's that being able to break the thresholds, right? Being able to transform the self and become the giant. The potentials are endless. All right. Let's now go to our Ganapati oracle. So, Lord Ganesha, Ganapati, is that divine child, the guardian and Lord of beginnings, the masters of the thresholds and the Lord of the spirits, the Ganas. And we ask Ganapati to inspire us, to send us a message and ensure our words are heard by those who need to hear them. And the message from Ganapati is openness. Openness. Wow. Openness. Being in that receptive mode. Does this not connect again to the image of what we are talking about today? Being open to receive that lunar Dianic energy, that Selene energy. You have to be open and receptive. Part of the reason why the feminine magic, and it is ascribed and called feminine magic, is because it requires that ability to be receptive, to receive, and to listen, and to be open. You know, and these are traditionally, for better or for worse, seen as feminine traits, right? But we can all be open, and we all must be open, and we must all learn to receive and be in that passive mode of reception, to be embraced by the other in that loving connection, right? And that is what it means to be that priestess, to hear the words of fate, to receive prophecy, right? To receive the breath and the voice of deity. Interesting. We're now going to go to our sortes. For those of you unaware, the sortes is a form of bibliomancy, that is divination through literature, and it comes to us from the Greco-Roman tradition. And we invoke the goddesses, the spirits of inspiration, the muses, and we ask them to inspire us, to guide our hand, and to send us a message through the text. And today we begin with the complete illustrated Lewis Carroll. So muses, what is the message from Lewis Carroll? Inspire us this evening. Later in the day, Wilhelm and Sookie were sitting conversing with the waiter and a few friends when the penitent muggle suddenly entered the room, placed a folded paper on the knees of Smits, pronounced in a hollow tone the infected words, "Be happy," vanished, and was seen no more. Those of you who are connected to pop culture will immediately recognize a word that stands out, muggle, a word that has been co-opted and used by a certain popular fiction author. But we all know that this is someone who is mundane, right? Someone who is not caught up in the story. It is not magical. But here, what do we see? That person is fixated on the happiness. It's not bound up in the game. They vanish and are unseen, right? They fold into the background and go through life. Interesting. Is that really the wrong way to be? Something to think on. Let's continue. We are now going to go to The Three Musketeers by Dumas. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Dumas and The Three Musketeers? Inspire us. At this, Athos would smile with his charming, melancholy smile, which so became his noble countenance, and Porthos would drink, swearing that Aramis would never be anything but a village cur. A village cur. At this, Athos would smile his charming, melancholy smile, which so became his noble countenance, and Porthos would drink, swearing that Aramis would never be anything but a village cur. Interesting. Smiling in spite of the melancholy, right? Engaging in the drink. And what does the drink bring out? That wild, attacking energy that calls another person a cur. Interesting. But the smile that so became his noble countenance, in spite of the melancholy. The message I take from here that is important is learning to smile in spite of the pain, right? To persevere through that ability to bring joy to the self, right? Getting drunk and judging others, that's a little bit, something else, let's say. Let's continue. All right. Edgar Allan Poe. Muses, what is the message from Edgar Allan Poe? Inspire us this evening. Okay. The result, of course, did but prove how entirely the prey was in my toils. In less than an hour, he had quadrupled his debt. The result, of course, did prove how entirely the prey was within my toils. Artemis energy or what? How entirely the prey was in my toils. Bound by my enchantment, that priestess magic. And what in less than an hour he had quadrupled his debt. Quadrupled his debt. Karmic debt, maybe. Binding themselves to something that forces them to go through the cycles yet again and again and again. Interesting. All right. We're now going to go to Watch Fiends and Rack Screams by Antonin Artaud. Muses, what is the message from Artaud? Inspire us this evening. For me, simple. Antonin Artaud. No one can bamboozle me with influence when one is nothing but a man or nothing but God. Wow. And this is the lesson for the magicians out there. And this is a profound and powerful statement of a true magus. For me, simple, Antonin Artaud. No one can bamboozle me with influence when one is nothing but a man or nothing but God, right? Totally engaged in the self, of the self, and recognize that they are the Lord and Master of their own experience. Beyond greed. Interesting. Let's continue. We're now going to go to the Psychic Bible by Genesis Peorich and the Temple of Psychic Youth. Muses, what is the message from the Temple of Psychic Youth? Inspire us this evening. Well, pardon me if I laugh at you dying of cancer and spit merrily on your graves. Wow. Well, pardon me if I laugh at you dying of cancer and spit merrily on your graves. That is intense energy. Intense energy. Vengeful energy, right? And we're engaging today with that Artemis energy, which is this harsh mistress that pushes us through the cycles, that forces us to face the consequences of our action. You know? Intensity. I want to read one more line that just stood out to me from the same passage. It says, our environment, her nature, that we need to live and regenerate is decaying. So pardon if she laughs while you're dying of cancer and spits on your graves. Oof. Right? Cycles of violence. Intensity. And recognize that Artemis, that nature, is nemesis. And she ensures that the cycles and change persist. Will we be recycled? That is the question. Or will we learn to rise and float on the waters and adapt? Okay. Muses, what is the message from Ore? Inspire us this evening. Enlightenment and perspective, thine gifts I shall hold unto dearly, and with reverence most affirmed and emphasized, I shall honor this benediction with added worth in merriment. Blessed be these scars, thine titles, Om, Amen, Atum, Aman. Wow. Enlightenment and perspective, thine gifts. Enlightenment and perspective, thine gifts. This is that Luciferian energy. I shall hold unto dearly, and with reverence most affirmed and emphasized, I shall honor this benediction with added worth and merriment. Blessed be these scars, thine titles, Amun, Amen, Atum, Aman. Wow. Enlightenment and perspective. How do you gain enlightenment? Through the expansion of perspective, right? Through seeing the multiplicity of reality, not being limited and tricked by that forced perspective of ideology. Thine gifts I shall hold unto dearly, and with reverence most affirmed and emphasized, I shall honor this benediction with added worth and merriment. I add to this and affirm it with love and engagement. You have to utilize your reason. Blessed be these scars. Reason, true reason and understanding is gained through experience. That enlightenment and its perspective comes through understanding, through wrestling, through learning. Thine titles, and the titles tell you them all. It's that harsh father, right? That tyrannical force that we must overthrow in order to gain perspective. The magician that seeks to blind us. The satirist that gets you caught up in the story. Amun, Amen, Atum, Aman. Love it. Let us continue. Oops. Oh my gosh. I have too many books all piled up all over me, by the way. Let's continue here. The poems of W.B. Yeats. All right. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Yeats? Inspire us. And did you keep no gold, Tom? You had 3 kegs, said he. I never thought of that, sir. Then want before you die, and want he did, for my own granddad saw the story's end, and Tom make out a living from the seaweed on the strand. The colonel went out sailing. Oh, interesting. Interesting. And did you keep no gold, Tom? You had 3 kegs, said he. I never thought of that, sir. Then want before you die. And want he did, for my own granddad saw the story's end, and Tom make out a living from the seaweed on the strand. Bound to that materiality, he makes his living from the seaweed and the strands, bound to the earth. Whereas the colonel goes on sailing, pursuing the adventure, embracing change, adapting and flowing with the waters. Wow. You don't need to make out a living, right? That's the wrong way. When we are bound so much to greed and to sustenance, we don't go out sailing. Interesting. Okay. Let us now go to Rabelais, Gargantua and Pantagruel. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Gargantua and Pantagruel? Inspire us this evening. I have already thought out how I'll make them as dead as porkers, leaving not a hoe for the devil. There is one thing which worries me a little, though. And what is that? Asked Pantagruel. How I shall go about servicing all those strumpets after dinner, so that never a one escapes the drumming once I have done. Oh my God. Jesus. Confound any man who abandons you. I have already thought out how I will make them as dead as porkers, leaving not a hoe for the devil. Though there is one thing which worries me a little, though. And what is that? Asked Pantagruel. How I shall go about servicing all those strumpets after dinner, so that never a one escapes the drumming once I have done. Oh, this is disgusting. God confound any man who abandons you. So anyone who abandons that Father, that God, right? They're as dead as porkers, and I will not leave a hoe for the devil. It allows him to abuse and attack because these women refuse to submit. It gives him justification to rape them. None of them escaped the drumming. Wow. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's some scary, scary imagery, people. And it's very true imagery of that church and of that colonialism and how they treated the various indigenous and pagan others, right? Oof. That was scary. Sometimes comedy and satire contains the realest of real, right? 10 Plays by Euripides. Muses, what is the message from Euripides? Inspire us this evening. Thus did Earth rob Phoebus of his oracular privileges, being jealous for her daughter. Wow, we have this on full display, guys. Thus did Earth, Mother Gaia, rob Phoebus, Apollo, Helios, Zeus, of his oracular privileges, being jealous for her daughters, protecting her daughters who are controlled and dominated by that Phoebus energy. Wow. Remember, right? That mother energy, she may not have voice and prominence in the way that you think, but she is there everywhere you look. And she has never left. Not for a moment. And the cycles continue. What was down will come up again. We've already been seeing this happening, and one thing I want to assure people is that whenever things are getting good, there is always a backlash. There's only a backlash when they lose. Hermann Hesse, Narcissus and Goldman. All right. Muses, what is the message from Hermann Hesse? Inspire us. He raised his cap and bowed to her deeply as though to a countess and walked off with heavy heart. He had to let her perish. Wow. He raised his cap and bowed to her deeply as though to a countess and walked off with heavy heart. He had to let her perish. But here's the thing about that death. What is that death really? It is not the end for nature, but part of nature's cycle. And her death, she is the living dead girl. He had to let her perish. No, he had to let her stand alone. Right? He had to let her stand alone. And that is such an important lesson. You cannot possess things. All right. What is possession but greed by another name? The Decameron by Giovanni Boccaccio. All right. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from the Decameron? Now hard by the prince's palace was a grotto, hewn in days of old in the solid rock, and now long disused, so that an artificial orifice by which it received a little light was all but choked with brambles and plants that grew about and overspread it. From one of the ground floor rooms of the palace, which room was part of the lady's suite, a secret lair led to the grotto. Through the entrance was barred by a very strong door. The message is clear. Oh my gosh. This is for the women, those who are women and know. And what I mean is the grotto is overgrown and little used, but it is not gone. And there is that secret entrance that every woman has to that secret garden. This is a message that is constantly replayed in the mythology. The secret garden, the secret grotto within the palace where the princess is confined, right? And it is in there that she can call the beast. Interesting. That mother goddess is not gone. The grotto is simply overgrown. And we all need to find that entrance to the secret lair. All right, let us continue. Dante, the Divine Comedy. Muses, what is the message from Dante? Inspire us. The lamp of the world rises for mortals by various paths, but on that which joins 4 cycles with 3 crosses. 4 cycles with 3 crosses. The 7 rays of the rainbow, the creation of the androgyne, the combination of the 3 ways and the 4 elements, the male and the female, reformed, the coming dawn, Plutus, right? The marriage of heaven and earth. The sun rises for mortals by various paths, but on that which joins 4 circles with 3 crosses. You must find the crossroads, where X marks the spot and the treasure is buried, where the sun and the earth align and give you access to the middle way. Beautiful. All right, let's continue. One final sortes, and then we'll go to our tarot. Book 4 by Aleister Crowley. All right, Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Crowley? Inspire us this evening. Let him turn himself towards the left and pace with the stealth and swiftness of a tiger the precincts of the circle until he completes 1 revolution. Let him turn himself towards the left-hand side, the unconscious, the feminine, the chthonic, and pace with the stealth and swiftness of a tiger, the lion, the polecat, the goddess embodied, Bubastis, Artemis, Hecate. Complete 1 revolution. Go through the cycle. Go through the cycle. Now is the time for the cycle of that great mother, of the awakening of the unconscious power, and a reconnecting to that feminine spirit, to that natural chthonic spirit. Walk the left-hand path and complete the revolution thereof. Interesting. Interesting. All right. We are now going to do our tarot proper. But before I do, please give me a like and a subscribe. It really does make a big difference. It boosts everything in the algorithm, and I would really appreciate it. And if you're at all interested in a private reading, please reach out. You can find me at snappyddts@gmail.com. Or you can meet me on the Myth and Lore Discord. I'm Snappy or Lady Snappy. All right, my deck just exploded on me and a card just shot out. And I always take that as a pretty intense sign. And the card that shot out was Lady Medea, the Princess of Wands. That youthful virgin born in that fiery energy, that fiery pursuit, the star on the earth. Wow. Beautiful energy, right? And we know this princess energy so well. The princesses are that potential, that fiery potential that can grant and can become anything. The potential of this child is that she can grow to be the empress, the emperor, or more, maybe the universe herself. That inspiring, fiery energy that can do and achieve anything. But it must be nurtured. She must be cared for. She must be taught, right? Let's see where this energy is going. But before I do, I'm going to invoke Saturn Kronos and ask them to dissect to dissect our lives, to cut it up, put it on the plate, and show us how do we best move and flow. How do we rise above our current situation? And how do we learn to manifest our true will? What is the message for the community? All right, let's see. Dominion. Dominion. This is really intense energy here because the potential is all here. You have called the child, you have manifested this connection with that muse, and you have the power. You have the power to engage, and how this is engaged is up to you, right? For love or for violence. Very true to that Medea energy. Recognize the princess demands an oath of servitude, right? Of responsibility and of nourishment. If you provide for her that loving adoration, she gives you the power of dominion. Your will manifest. But recognize if you break that oath, what happens with dominion? It's for love or violence, right? This energy can explode on you. That's something to recognize. Yeah. Prudence, the 8 of discs, the building of the tower and the tending to the roots, the nurturing energy. This is what it's all about. If you can nurture this energy and be that great provider, if you can take responsibility and commit to her as that loving parent, as that loving partner, that artistic collaborator, that friend, you will have the dominion, the power that she grants. Beautiful. Interesting. Let's continue. Dionysus, the fool. Beautiful energy, and connected to that priestess at the top of our square. This is about taking that leap of faith and pursuing that love, taking responsibility, making the commitment, following that fiery passion, right? The muse is coming from the genitals. They're leaping into creation, chasing after love, right? Chasing after their other. And this is what this is about. Take responsibility and connect to this person in that loving connection, right? Take responsibility, nurture the princess. The fool says, pursue that passion. Let's continue. Wow, we can't make this up. This is about taking that leap and pursuing in a new direction, finding that thing. And what is that thing? This new inspiring connection is that princess. The Ace of the Wands signals the birth of the child. But to get to the child, we first must imagine her and take the leap towards her. So we're seeing this, right? To manifest this new fiery energy, this profound, inspiring muse. To connect to this, you must embody Dionysus. You must pursue after that love. Imagine that connection. Imagine that child and what she represents. Let's see. Yeah. In more ways than one, right? Not just from that heart and that passion, but from that intellect. This is about really forming the image in your mind, going through that magical performance of creation and chasing after your desire, leaping forth. Wow. New perspectives on display, new approaches to love, new approaches to logic, and taking that leap to pursue them. And the result is this connection. Beautiful. See where this is going? Wow. And at the bottom, connected to that princess, we have pleasure. The completed balance, the 6 in cups, the most stable, the most reciprocal, the middle way, love actualized in that perfect, harmonious reciprocity. Beautiful, beautiful energy. And the result is this child brings that pleasure. Connecting to her allows you to have this connection. And it is about taking the leap to pursue that brings it in. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Wow. And we saw this energy the other day, right? The truce. The truce energy. This is the coming together of multiple perspectives for the production of that beautiful flower. Seeing things from different sides so that you can see the full beauty on display. Being in truce. Working together. Seeing things as they are in all of their beauty. Right? This truth implies that you're at peace and there's another at peace in harmonious connection. Beautiful energy. Let's see where this is going. Wish fulfillment, drawing down the star, Aphrodite Kometho, right? Beautiful, the goddess. This is about manifesting that dream, connecting to that goddess, drawing down the stars, and making your dreams a reality, giving birth to new passionate ideas, new pursuits, new perspectives, right? The muse. The muse. For many of you, she will represent this inspiration, not a literal child. For some, it could be a literal child, a new birth. But for others, this will be something of an inspiring nature, that muse on full display, that requires you to pursue a creative path that must be nurtured and practiced and unfold over time, that will grow into something truly beautiful through hard work and dedication, right? Follow that muse, follow that inspiration. You wished for this connection. You wished for this inspiration. You looked for it and you found it through that engagement of these multiple perspectives. And the result is this reciprocity, this flowing in pleasure, this balance, perfected balance. And what comes out of balance? New birth and creation. New birth and creation, inspiration and beauty realized. Wow. Wow. What a beautiful reading. Okay. I'm going to now flip the cards, but before I do, please give me a like and a subscribe. It really does make a difference. And if you're at all interested in a private reading, please reach out, snappydtts@gmail.com, or you can find me on the Myth and Lore Discord, Snappy or Lady Snappy. All right. And you can always just come hang on Discord. I'm always on there. We love to see you. Okay. Let's take a look. Here we got our dominion. You have the power. The power is in your control. The key to this unfolding and this connection, it is all about embracing that new passion, pursuing things from that new inspiring perspective, and learning to see things from this multiple perspectives, to really take time to see a balanced picture, to see things on full display, to do the hard work of truly trying to understand yourself through that reflection. You know, this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to combine with another, but it requires you to listen to the perspectives of others. But this could also be done through things like tarot or astrology. You can see that perspective and you can find that truce in the self, the balance between your sun and moon, right? That's what this is about, this energy, right? You have to combine your conscious desires with that unconscious need. And that unconscious need is hard to hear. Often it comes out as reactions from the body, right? And the conscious self dominates the unconscious. We want to be in that true flow so that the flower can blossom. And when that flower blossoms and we're in that unity of conscious and unconsciousness, we can enact and achieve our dreams. Beautiful. Wow. Let's look at our middle. We have that beautiful divine child, the Princess of Wands. The key to manifesting this energy and her result is clear. We must pursue her with that desire. You must want this, and you must throw yourself into this. Be inspired and pursue it with the foolishness of Dionysus, who rips himself apart to know. Love is so important, he would rather die and be ripped to shreds than not experience it. Anything for even the chance of that experience, right? Throw yourself into this. Pursue her with the totality of your being. And the result is that perfect reciprocity, that flowing love, that pleasure realized and actualized. Beautiful. We come here. Prudence. Prudence. The key here is always to be in that disciplined building mode, to recognize and to build upon the tower, to see what needs to be tended to, right? The plant must be protected from pests. It must be protected from weeds. The fruit must be tended to and ensured. You know, this kind of prudence and this kind of tower work requires a lot of disciplined action and dedication in the present. You know, and this energy is important. And through this, we can see things from that new perspective. What we're seeing here is in the wishful, this is interesting actually. Okay, so this kind of disciplined prudence energy is our natural mean. This is where we constantly find ourselves. But what we're seeing here is that to truly fulfill your wishes, you got to have to expand out of this building mode, right? Prudence energy is beautiful, and prudence energy is needed and necessary. But sometimes when we are so fixated on the present and on the growing and tending of the tree, we cannot reach for the stars. We are too bound to the earth. And here this is about, we have to break out of this perspective, and we have to try to see things in a different light. And that new light is about asking and pursuing what we want, having the audacity to ask and to take, to draw down the star, to engage with that goddess in adoration, in love. These are things that we are told we shouldn't do or should be afraid of or ashamed of. That's where the new perspective comes in. Breaking free of the domestic mode and embracing the mystical, embracing the high-minded and pursuing the goddess and the imaginal, embracing the unconscious. Wow. Wow. Last, we're going to do our crosses. Yeah. In order to bring her to fruition, not only do we have to really be inspired and pursue this inspiration, but we have to engage that goddess. We have to ask. We have to be inspired. You have to call the muse, right? The muse doesn't just show up. You must call her and ask to be inspired, right? Pursue her, and then she will come when called. It's a reciprocity, right? It requires a balance. This is a friendship with the muse, an engagement with the muse. You know, I've talked to several people who have struggled with worship. You don't worship the muse, you adore her, right? As a lover, as a partner, as a friend, as a companion, as a creative, inspiring person. You do not possess her. You are not less than her. You are not subservient to her, right? She is that person that you adore, that you take responsibility of in the present. Beautiful, right? And lastly, from this reflection, you gain the new perspective, and you see this about yourself, right? To gain this new perspective, you have to do the hard work of seeing these multiple perspectives and coming to truths, coming to recognize that maybe you're bound by domesticity. Maybe you're too stuck in the present. Maybe you need a new perspective in order to draw down that star and to fulfill your wish, to connect to that muse. Recognize you have the strength, but it's about being in the right state of mind, taking that leap, having the audacity to try, taking responsibility, using your strength to your advantage and applying it in being true, right? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. The message here is clear, right? Pursue this. Take the leap of faith. See things from new perspectives, from multiple perspectives. Break out of the domesticity. Pursue that pleasure. Pursue that goddess and take the leap. You have all the power. All the power. All right, everyone. That's the message. I hope it resonated with you. It certainly resonated with me. Thank you so much for joining us for our live tarot. And we will do one final sortes. And we're going to go back to the Divine Comedy by Dante. All right. Muses, what is the message from Dante? Inspire us. The love which makes me beautiful leads me to speak of the other leader, for whose sake so much good has been said of mine. Wow. This tells you everything. The love which makes me beautiful leads me to speak of the other leader, for whose sake so much good has been said of mine. True love manifests in that giving for the other. And the beauty of love is in the giving, right? You want to love the goddess and have a connection with the muse, you must give to the muse. You must create of the muse in that reciprocity. She inspires and you create of inspiration. All right? That's the message. Pursue love, pursue inspiration, take that leap, expand your perspective, move and flow. Peace and love, everyone. Until next time, take care.